How you doing? You're looking absolutely amazing, I must say. Beautiful, beautiful. Anyway, I'm going to get straight into meat and potatoes, as this is video 1 of 2. This one's going to piss a lot of people off, but I'm going to address that first, and then we're going to have a quick listen to what Charlie has to say about it, and then we're going to crack on. And then later on today, we're going to be talking about Phil Lyman and his odd behaviour around campus, and then finishing the day with a live to discuss everything that's going on. So we've got a lot to get through, and I've had about 2 hours sleep. I know, violins. But anyway, before we get into this video, when I talk about these sort of things, especially when you mention Charlie Kirk, for instance, and it happens in other cases as well, you get these people, and the funny thing is, there's some people who have jumped on the bandwagon in this case, who was absolutely fine with me calling out certain people and raising questions around another case, and then to the point where some of them even become members. And do you know what? If you're a member of the channel, absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for your support. But if you're a channel member, it still doesn't mean that you can behave in certain ways, and I won't put up with it. I won't stand for it, because this entire channel is about enabling people to have a difference of opinion. That's why this channel was set up 3 years ago, because I saw that, especially in this niche, that it was very much you had to agree with the content creator and you was vilified if you didn't. So I wanted to create a channel that would share different opinions and learn from one another. But anyway, getting to the point, since I've started talking about Charlie Kirk, for instance, people come into the comments and they're like, how fucking dare you? You can't say this, you can't, oh yeah, and by the way, I swear, if you don't like it, fuck off. People, and the amount of people who turn around, they try to connect intelligence to swearing. Do you know what I mean? I get it all the time. I have a degree in psychology. I done fantastic at school. Thank you very much. I'm a qualified electrician. I'm a qualified mechanic. I am a qualified gym and fitness instructor. I was one of the youngest people who was a general manager for one of the largest retail businesses in Europe. A lot of you in the UK will know who it is if I turn around and say that their sale never fucking ended. But yeah, one of the youngest people who was a general manager, managing millions and millions of pounds worth of business. And then I left a whole lot behind to do YouTube. And I still act as a business consultant as well on the side. So my education is absolutely fine. I just like swearing. And when I'm passionate about something, I'll swear. And again, just in case I'm not clear, fuck off if you don't like it. But anyway, yeah, so let's just, before we go any further, let's just listen to what Charlie Kirk says about the freedom of speech and the people who kind of try and get you to behave and say certain things and not say others.
What is so important about freedom of speech is that, as a utility, is that you're able to find the best ideas and find really bad ideas. And how do you do that? More speech. The solution is not to label them as a hate group and to say, the answer is more speech. As soon as you begin to silence, all of a sudden you're getting into the business of trying to tell people exactly what they're supposed to believe and how they're supposed to believe it.
So I think that was quite clear. Do you know what I mean? I find it, there's an irony to it, isn't there? There's an irony when people have come over to a case that is basically about Charlie Kirk, somebody who literally was he wanted everybody to talk. He wanted everybody to share opinions. He openly allowed people who didn't agree with him to talk. And yet you've got assholes in the chat and the comments who, unless you say what they want you to say or think the way they want you to say, that's a problem, and you're an arsehole for it. So I just don't get it. But anyway, what am I talking about in this video now? I'll finally crack on and get on with it. I do apologise, but it needed to be said. It needed to be said. And the same as like some of the things in this video need to be said, that's going to piss some people off, but we've primed it. And it is, people keep saying that people are grifting, right? Grifters. You're a grifter. You're a grifter. He's a grifter. She's a grifter. But in the Charlie Kirk case, I think you've got two primary people, and that is Candace Owens, and you've got Charlie Kirk, because they're kind of the women in Charlie's life. I'm sure there was other women in Charlie's life, not like that. I saw him on the whatever podcast. He handled himself very well there, and it actually showed how respectable Charlie was as well, and gave you more of an insight into some of the thoughts and feelings that he had. Case in point, there were some people who were making a living, quite young girls, who were making a living through OnlyFans. And you could see in that I think he was saddened by that. Do you know what I mean? That we live currently in a society where you can, as a young girl, go on to OnlyFans and do content on OnlyFans and earn a fucking shit ton of money just so some fat tosser in his grandma's basement can jerk off the meat and two veg while covered in peanut butter and jelly. And there's nurses and military personnel and people who do, you know, even people who clean up the fucking refuse, mate. Someone's got to do it, and they're fucking heroes too, and they get paid pittance. Fucking pittance. But because there's a market for this kind of stuff, and I think that saddened Charlie. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, I digress yet again. This video is going to be about 3 hours long. I should have done it live tonight, shouldn't I? But, so who's grifting, right? And I thought I'd use 4 different examples of actual, are you grifting or are you doing something else? And I think you'll be shocked by who I think comes out the worst in this. You probably won't be surprised, but you'll be shocked. And I was looking at Jesse on Fire, for instance, right? Jesse on Fire. Now, Jesse on Fire did a shorts video that basically explained how the algorithm on YouTube works. And that is, if you sensationalize things, then it does well. If you do something that catches people's attention, then the video will do well. And if you don't, then it will fall flat on its arse. So it's getting that balance, which is a bit of a skill, and not everyone can do it. I can't do it. I've been doing this for 3 years. I've got multiple channels. And do you know what I mean? Sometimes it's just you getting decent information across, but you're not doing it in a way that's catching people's attention. And the downside is that can leverage people into going in a certain direction and sometimes over-censor, making something look better than what it actually is because it works better. And the downside is if you do videos, like you can look at some of my videos. I've done videos that have done 100,000 views, and then the next one will do 6,000 views. What the fuck is that about? Do you know what I mean? And you could argue that the information contained within the video that done 6,000 views was actually more important and pertinent to the case than the one that done 100,000 views. But it just weren't exciting. So again, with Jesse on Fire, love the guy, absolutely love the guy, and I can see in the comments that he's now starting to lose people. Because he originally did a certain type of content. I seem to believe that it was around wrestling, WWE or whatever, and then the Charlie Kirk case happened. He obviously saw some decent numbers in the videos, and he's kind of hung around it, completely out of his niche. And also, again, as I've mentioned, he's kind of acknowledged the way that you have to get more views, and he's kind of leaning into that. And so is he grifting? No. Jesse on Fire isn't a grifter. He's a content creator who knows how to create content. And the content that he's showing is just content that exists, and he's packaging it in a way that's appealing to the viewers. So again, that's not grifting, that's content creation, and that's what he is, a content creator. Then you've got me, which I kind of fall into the realms of the same as Jesse, except this is my niche. Crime, talking about true crime, murders and stuff like that, that's my niche. So I haven't switched over niche, I'm just talking about another case. But I'd like to think that I don't lean so heavy into the sensationalization, making stuff look better than what it really is. I don't fucking know, do I? That word. When you try and make stuff look better than what it is, let me know in the comments what it is. Help me out. And do you know what I mean? I try not to do that. Maybe I should, because it does help the channel. It helps it grow because it gets more exposure, gets more people into the channel. And when you do a video, the pool that the algorithm sends it to is bigger, which helps. But I try not to. Then we got Candace Owens. Candace Owens has made mistakes. She's made mistakes. She said some stuff that hasn't gone down too well. She spoke recently about a specific flight. I believe Egypt Air. Correct me if I'm wrong. She'd got confused over the time. So it made it look like, or she had made it look like the plane had left just after the shoot, and when in fact it had left before. But look, it is what it is. You will make mistakes. If you're going out there, you can make mistakes. But is she grifting? No, because she was a friend of Charlie Kirk's. She was a friend. She was a friend to him. And I think that being a friend of somebody, and when you have a platform as large as what her platform is, and you can see that things aren't right, because look, I think we've come to the conclusion, many of us, that the weapon that we've been told was used to kill Charlie, and the round that was fired is not the one that caused the injury. They don't match. You can take everything else away. Do you know what I mean? You can ignore everything else. But that one little factor alone is kind of enough for you to go, hold on a second, something ain't fucking right there, because that should have took his fucking head clean off and it didn't. And there's also certain things that sort of stick out, especially whereas Candace would have the time, she would have the ability, she's got people who can look at stuff for her. She's going to be all over this like flies on shit. Do you know what I mean? And when you're all over it like flies on shit, you're going to start seeing things that don't fucking add up. And when people have a platform of that size, people also reach out to you and they will let you have information that someone like me, someone like Jesse, someone like Paramount Tactical perhaps, just won't ever have access to. And she will see it through that lens of trying to get to the truth of what happened to a friend. Is she grifting? No, this is what she does. And I think she's also got that protection, if you like, she's his friend. She was his friend. She was his friend, and it hit her in a way that, you know, I've lost friends. I've lost multiple friends to both murder and self-deletion and accidents. So I know how she feels, do you know what I mean? And she's going to do whatever she can in her power to get to the truth, to get to the truth and make sure that the truth is exposed. And if there's anything that ain't right, to expose it. And I would hope that anybody in her position would do the exact same, which leads us nicely into Erica Kirk. Now, Erica Kirk was Charlie Kirk's wife. She was his wife. And the downside is, in the aftermath of his death, she hasn't really done herself any favours because she's come out into the public domain. And once you come out into the public domain, you're opening yourself up to criticism. And nobody, and Charlie even said this, he even said this on the Whatever podcast I mentioned earlier, that nobody is above being criticised and called out and spoken about. Do you know what I mean? If enough people tell you that something don't sit right, then something don't sit right. It's as simple as that, because it's how you interpret things is whether something don't sit right. So you can have two people and one of them says, well, that's absolutely fine. I think that's absolutely fine how she's behaving. And you can have another person who says, I don't fucking sit right. So who's going to be the adjudicator here to say who's right? Who should be disregarded, and why should the person be disregarded? Or is it a fact that we will all look at things differently? But what do we see in Erica Kirk? We see somebody who has lost her husband, the love of her life. And I speak to many people in chat and in emails who have lost the love of their life. Lost the love of their life. You know, I've lost people in my life, as aforementioned, to varying things such as illness, murder, accidents, horrendous stuff. I've had to deal with some horrendous stuff. So I don't come from a place of complete ignorance. But I think to myself, she could have took time out. She was a multi-millionaire. So this weren't about money. She didn't need money. Some people's life have to continue. They have to go on because the world keeps turning. The bills keep coming in. You might have children that you have to keep going. You have to go for. You have to be there for them. You now have to be mum and dad because one of them's gone. And, you know, what we see And don't get me wrong, we don't see everything. So Erica Kirk, behind closed doors, could be a completely different beast. Do you know what I mean? She could be a completely different beast. She could walk through the door at the end of the day, collapse on the floor in fucking pieces. The downside is we don't see it. We see what we see, so we can only judge off what we see. And what do we see? We see somebody who literally stood over the coffin of Charlie Kirk, mic'd up, ringed up, all of her fucking jewelry and everything on, and used that as fucking content. Now, you can't fucking tell me, you cannot tell me that there was any rational explanation for doing that. If you're a godly person, because that is not a very good advertisement for Catholicism, is it? To say, the best thing to do when you lose the love of your life and the father of your kids is to make fucking content over his dead body. That didn't go down well. So again, when you look back at these two people, where one will say everything's fine, and the next person will say, well, something ain't fucking right there. Again, now which one is right and which one is wrong? Now, I know this one over here who says everything's right is going to say, well, she can do what she like. Who are we to tell her what she can and can't do, which is right. But again, we can criticise it. We can have a thought and a feeling about it. We just can't force her to not do it. She can do it. She can do it if she wants. But we can equally have a comment about it. And when we as an individual feel that don't sit right with us, then we have a right to have that thought and feeling, especially if we have been in similar situations. And what else did we see? We saw a situation where she didn't take any time off. She literally jumped straight into the very role that killed Charlie Kirk. Now, we don't quite know what's going on behind closed doors. We don't know. There's some things that I feel that Erica Kirk needs to do to show her loyalty to Charlie. And I'm going to talk on that tomorrow. Because there are some very specific things that I think would offer some form of redemption in the public eye. Because there's certain things that he championed, and it will be interesting to see whether she continues to champion them or not. But she did jump into the CEO seat. And I wonder whether she had enough time to fully process what is actually going on here. Because if you're saying that she believes in the narrative that's being pushed, what we're basically saying here is that any individual at any one of these events can pull out a rifle and shoot you if they just don't like what you're going to say. And you're going to jump straight into the exact same position and what? Eventually orphan your children? Have you not considered that? Have you not considered what the ramifications are for doing what you've done? When there was no reason to. There was no reason to from a money perspective. You didn't need the cash. Which brings me on to another situation, which if you've got all the cash and you've got money, you don't need money, and you've just lost the love of your life and the children have lost their father, then you don't want to take any time off. You don't take no time off. So, like people said that she's a single mum. She's got to raise her children alone. Fuck off. She's not raising her children alone. She's a multi-fucking-millionaire. If she's going to be doing all the work that Charlie was doing and running this business, well, she ain't going to be looking after her kids, is she? They're going to have lost their father. They're going to have lost their mum to the business, and someone else will be raising the kids. They'll be fucking au pairs, nannies, fill-ins. Do you know what I mean? That's their life now, and she made that choice. She made the choice in the aftermath of Charlie's death and the children losing their father to take up his mantle in a business to what? When you're a multi-millionaire. Maybe it is just to push on and make sure that Charlie's work wasn't lost. But surely she would have trusted that the people who were at the business to carry that on. Maybe she could have had some input in the business and a connection to the business, but to take up the role of CEO, was that required? So what is the end game there? people are going to ask, people are going to wonder, what is the end game? If you don't need the money and your children have just lost their father, why put yourself in a position that could potentially get you fucking killed when you don't really need the money? But your children definitely need mum. And that's just my viewpoint, and you may not agree with it. But guess what? I couldn't give a fuck. I couldn't give any less of a fuck if I tried, whether you agree with me or not. If you don't agree, that's fine. Disagree with me respectfully or get the fuck off the channel. Because that's my thoughts, that's my feelings. I feel uncomfortable with some of the things that I see. Merch sales. We've even seen merch sales, pushing memberships. Again, not wanting to dwell on it, but the video over the coffin, this is all about driving fucking engagement. And engagement gets you paid. So is Erica Kirk a grifter? Is she a grifter? Well, she's not a content creator, but she's creating content and talking about content and priming everyone for content that no one's ever fucking seen before, laughing and fucking joking about it. Don't worry, we're not going to pretend to be Charlie. This chair. Do you know what I mean? It's fucking mental. Is she a grifter? I don't know. You'll have to let me know down below whether you think she's a grifter or not. But I certainly feel uncomfortable with trying to push merch sales, trying to push more and more content, and trying to get money in, and taking all these donations when you yourself are a fucking multi-millionaire. Multi-millionaire. You don't need the money. So again, what's the end game here? Let me know down below what you think. And I'll catch you in video 2 later, live this evening too. And we'll all get together and have a bit of a chinwag. Love you all. Mwah.